Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Chelsea. I'm really excited you're here today. It's been a minute since I filmed a video, so bear with me as I figure out how to do this all again. But I'm really excited for this video because I'm doing my priority TBR lists for the year of 2025. So this list is going to consist of both a bunch of new releases because there's a lot coming out, and just kind of my priority TBR rollover, things I didn't get to from the last year, or things that came out kind of late in the year that I just didn't have time for, but I've been really wanting to read. I'm so excited for some of the things that are about to come out this year, especially the first half of the year. A lot of series that I've gotten into, several fantasy romance series and books. A lot of just contemporary authors that I've gotten into have new books coming out in the spring. So let's first just go through kind of my rollovers. A lot of these were just things I didn't get to last year. First and foremost, Quicksilver by Callie Hartz. This is a fantasy romance. This is a book that I feel like I've seen everywhere. I don't know too much about it plot-wise. I've been staying away from it, but it's just one of those that was on my TBR last year. I believe it's going to be part of a larger series, but this is just the first book that's out. I'm trying really hard this year not to read too many reviews and synopsis before getting into a book. I just know this book's right up my alley, and I'm really excited to read this one, hopefully very soon. The next book I want to read is Jade War by Fonda Lee. I read Jade City last year. Really enjoyed it. It was definitely an intense read. I read it last year and just didn't have time to continue the series because I was just in the middle of so many series. But I really liked this first book. I really liked the characters. I really liked the urban setting. It was definitely a really intense story, and I want to see where it goes. Kind of the same for this next one, Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I read both Spark of the Everflame and Glow of the Everflame last year. Really enjoyed this series. It wasn't like my favorite of the year by any means, but a lot of people are really into the next one, which is Heat of the Everflame. And then I know there's supposed to be a fourth one coming out at some point this year, but I am really excited to continue the series. I liked our main character DM a lot. It's a very slow burn romance set in a fantasy world. And I think the romance was just like we were just getting into the romance, and I'd really like to see where it goes in the next book. Reign of Shadow and Endings. This is by Melissa K. Rourke. This is the first book in a fantasy romance series that, again, I've heard nothing but good things about. I read the Lady of Darkness series at the end of last year. And that was a lot. It was 5 books. There were some books I liked better than others. I think overall I did enjoy the series, but it was kind of like a 3.5 series for me, even though I liked a lot of the side characters and a lot of the themes, and I really did enjoy the writing too. But I've heard such good things about this series that this author has written, so I think there are, I want to say 3 books out, and then there's more coming. So if I can at least read this first one and see if I like it, I might read the entire series this year. When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Again, I saw this book everywhere last year, didn't get a chance to read it. It was like this and Quicksilver, just saw it everywhere. I know there's a second book coming out later this year, so I would really like to get to this before that comes out. Again, I don't know a ton about the synopsis, kind of staying away from that. I believe it's, again, there's Fae. I know it's a larger book, so I'm kind of wondering if I want to read that sooner than later, just because I get a very wintry vibe from this one. And then I also want to read the Book of Azriel. That whole series I've heard really good things about. I want to get more into urban fantasy romances, and I believe this is an urban fantasy romance that has a lot of different creatures and characters in it, which I'm really excited for. The Sword of Kaigen is a book that I've heard a little bit about. It's more of just a fantasy or an epic fantasy story, I believe. I was just watching somebody do a video on it the other day, and she was just like in tears at the end of this book, so I really want to read it and just see if it's something that I like, because I'm not familiar with the author. Emma Wang. So let's talk about some of the releases coming out this year, because that's the bulk of my list here. Iron and Embers is by Helen Schuler. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right. I never know if I'm saying it right, but I love her books. Her Legend of Thesmar series was a huge series that I read last year. Absolutely loved the story. So in this book, we're going to be following Thea's sister, Ren, and another character, Torge, from the other series. I believe there's going to be a few books in the series. I'm not totally sure yet. So I'm excited to see what Ren has up her sleeve. I know she's an alchemist, and she was really interesting in the first book. Same with Torge. He was really fun. He was a really fun side character. So we'll see. We have Onyx Storm coming out by Rebecca Yarros. This is part of the Fourth Wing, the Empyrean series. It's the third book. I liked Fourth Wing quite a bit. Not my favorite book in the world, but I liked it a lot, and I really am interested to see where this series is going. Iron Flame, I didn't like it quite as much, but I had kind of that second book in a series kind of dip, at least for me. So I'm really interested to see what happens in the third series, because the way the ending of the last book was, and just the hype for these books is really exciting and intriguing. So either way, it's going to be a fun ride. She's a really interesting author. There's always so much packed into each book. So I'm really excited, and hopefully I really like this one. We have an Ali Hazelwood book coming out in February, I believe, called Deep End. Ali Hazelwood has just become an auto-buy author for me. I just kind of like what she does. The books are always really funny. The romances are always really fun and interesting. This time I think we have more of a college setting romance with swimmers. That's why it's called Deep End. And I know she got a little more spicier in her last book, and I believe this one's also going to be more spicy, which I am totally for. So like I said, she's an auto-buy author. This will be probably a really fun romance that I can't wait to read in February. We also have Emily Wilde's Continuum of Lost Tales. Yes, I stuttered over that word. It's impossible for me to say. By Heather Fawcett. I really enjoyed the first two books in this series. I think it's just kind of different from a lot of things that I read. Emily Wilde and Bramblebee, I believe is his name, are just really fun characters to follow, and the premise is just really interesting too. Just that we have a professor of fairies who's going to different places all over the world to kind of study fairies and different things. That's just such an interesting and I really liked this character. It's more bookish, and I've really enjoyed the first two, so I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this one. I think this is kind of technically more of a cozy fantasy. It's not like a super spicy romance or anything like that. I think it's considered more cozy fantasy. So hopefully on a rainy day, that'd be something I really want to get into. Oh, we also have Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I really like Grady Hendrix. He's done the Final Girl. He's done the Final Girl support group, which was really fun, and How to Sell a Haunted House, which I liked as well. So I'm really interested to see. This is a new release from him. I don't know if I'll read it just yet. It feels like more of a fall book to me. But either way, he's kind of one of those authors that I just kind of like to see what he does, because it's usually fun and outrageous. And I even got my husband to read a couple of his books because he likes more of horror. I think Grady Hendrix just puts a fun spin, just kind of it always comes from a funny place. And they're always pretty unique stories. So I'm pretty excited to see what this one is going to be about. And then we also have the third book in the Butcher and Blackbird series is coming out this year. I believe also in February. It's called The Scythe and Sparrow. And I really liked these books a lot. The first one I was so shocked that I liked. I gave it 5 stars. It was just hilarious. There was a lot of weird things happening in that book. Pretty much it was just a dark romance between 2 serial killers. And then the second one I didn't like as much, but I still really enjoyed the writing. And then this third one is probably going to be just as fun, and I'm always just kind of what is happening? I feel like I speed read through these books. They're written so they're written in such a way that it's just so fun to read them, and there's nothing else really like that out in the contemporary world. Again, at least that I've read, where it's serial killer themed, but good serial killers, not bad ones. In the first one, they were killing the bad ones. So anyway, it's a dark romance, and I'm really excited for this third book. Rebel Witch is coming out. I'm really excited for this. I don't read a ton of YA fantasy romance anymore, but I read the Heartless Heir. God. I read the Heartless Hunter, which is the first book in the, I believe it's just called the Crimson Moth series. Very fun. Really liked the romance dynamic. We have a witch and a witch hunter. The ending was really, actually really sad. I really got into it. Like I said, I don't know what it is. Sometimes YA romances, especially fantasy romances, don't quite do it for me anymore. I just feel like the stakes are never quite there and the romance isn't quite there. This stakes were there, interesting plot line, fun story, and just really liked both of our characters. We got both dual POVs, which I love, and I believe this is coming out in February, so really soon. Hopefully I can read it. This is one I kind of want to read like the second it comes out. King of Envy by Anna Huang. I've read a bunch of her books. This is, I believe, the 5th book? Is that right? Yeah, the 5th book in this series. Where they're going through like the 7 deadly sins or whatever. Again, I don't even know what this book is about. I know it has a few of the characters who were in the other books in the series. Sometimes there's fun crossover with the other series I loved from her, the Twisted series. So it's just fun. These books are just kind of like watching an old school soap opera. There's always like crazy drama, wild things happening, a lot of random action, a lot of great like spice. I always am pretty much always like I'm pretty much always like loving the dynamics of the characters and the relationship and just, you know, the romance in general. Yeah, I think she's just really good. She's just really good at writing just really intense stories with just great tension and a romance. And I'm just really excited to be reading this one. Great Big Beautiful Life is the newest Emily Henry book that's coming out. I love Emily Henry. I've loved pretty much all of her books, even the ones I didn't like as much. I just think she's a really good writer. Last year, funny story, just like knocked it out of the park for me. This book comes out in April. I believe it is, again, I don't know a lot about what it is. I believe I read somewhere that it's about writers, which she's done in other books. I could be so wrong there, but again, I'm kind of staying away from what it's about, just because I want to go in cold and see what's what. I just always like her writing. I always like the relationships, but I always like, she puts so much more in her books than just the relationships and just two people getting together. There's usually a lot about life and just like a lot of interesting things that her books always get me thinking about like my life and my past and just my relationships. And yeah, she's just another auto buy for me. It's gonna be good. I can't imagine it not being good. That would be the most depressing thing ever. So I'm really excited for that one. We also have a new Abby Jimenez book coming out this year, and I've loved all of her books as well. She's a really great contemporary romance writer. This one's called Say You'll Remember Me. The cover's super pretty too. Again, I'm not looking up what this is about. Sorry if this is like me saying the same thing for each one. She's just such a good writer. Yours Truly is one of my favorite books ever. The one that came out last year, just for the summer. Didn't think I was gonna like it as much as Yours Truly. Liked it more somehow. There's always just a good kind of, I wouldn't consider them rom-com books, but there's a lot of comedy in her books that are funny. The romance is always like just so heartfelt, and similar to Emily Henry, there's a lot more in these books than just a romance, even though that's there. And usually there's a lot of fun tension between the characters, and the way they develop the characters over the book is usually just like their relationship's always so great, and they usually have so much going on. Again, I haven't like looked up what their specific thing is, but I'm just so excited to read her books. Wild Side by Elsie Silver. Yeah, I love every Elsie Silver book I've ever read. The Chestnut Spring series was just such a great series. I did not think I was gonna like that series. I didn't think I cared about cowboys. So I was shocked that I liked every book in that series, and it's just like an all-timer for me now. Especially like Heartless and Reckless are my two favorites. This series, I don't know if I like these stories as much. It still has Elsie Silver's flair to them. I really enjoy the last one. I liked a lot, actually. It was really, really sweet. And then this one again is going to be two people. They are, one got, so this one again, the thing with this series is it's all kind of like the single dad trope. So we have another single dad, and we have a girl that we've met, I believe, in the other ones. They kind of are all in them. But I'm just excited to see what she does with this one. I feel like they're all, even though they have the same basic premise, they're all super unique. And the way she writes the romance and the spice is always so fun. And I'm just excited. I'm just excited for all these books. It's going to be such a good, these are all in the spring too. I believe this one's also March. March and April is just going to be so much fun. I'm going to just be reading a lot of these super not serious romance novels. And then we also have Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. I believe this is the last book in this is part of the Bluebell Ranch, I think is what it's called. Done and Dusted was the first book. These are just super fun. I don't know. It's just sort of like I read Chestnut Springs, was shocked by that. And then these, I saw the covers were so pretty that I just knew I was gonna like them. And the last one I just knew I was gonna love because it was kind of an enemies to lovers trope, which I really enjoy. Yeah, Lost and Lassoed was probably my favorite one of the series so far. And the way that one ended kind of set up this book a little bit. So we're just gonna kind of see how this one goes. I don't know if it'll be as good as the last one, but because I loved Lost and Lassoed so much. But we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if I liked this one just as much, just because I really liked the main character, and we know a little bit of the male main character too, so I'm excited to see what happens between them. The Rival's Crown by Holly Renee is also coming out in March. This is the Veiled Kingdom, the third book. And I feel like it was supposed to come out in late last year, but got pushed or whatever. The Haunted Heir was fine. The Hunted Heir was fine. It was the second book. I did like it, but it was just very like, let's just get to the third book because I feel like a lot of stuff's just being saved for this. We have a girl, she was on the run. Her father was the king. It's just like a horrible, horrible person. She finally got away from him. And then she ends up with these rebels, and then she has like a fling with the rebel leader's son. And then they're kind of on the run in the second one, but at the end she ends up getting caught and now she's going back. It's gonna be a mess. I don't even know. I love these books though in such a specific way. They hit whatever I love in just like a romantasy, kind of more spice forward at times than plot. Like I'm not gonna say like the world is developed a ton, but I just really like it. I really liked the characters. I really liked, especially the first one, just kind of like her being thrown in the situation and having to deal with it. I might be remembering this wrong, but she doesn't have people have like powers in this. But it's one of those situations where like everyone kind of has a power, but she didn't have the specific power, and that's why her dad was awful to her and like abused her, all this horrible stuff. So it's just going to be interesting to see like, does she eventually develop powers, or is that just like kind of the point of the story that she doesn't need powers? Either way, I've rambled about this one longer than maybe all the others just because I really want to know the ending to the story. And like I said, the second one was just kind of like a lot of stuff did happen, but nothing like huge happened in that. Where the first one, the end was crazy. And the second one, we got to a point where we're like, okay, now it's time for the third book, but the third book's not out yet. So yes, this one, I believe they're all on like Kindle Unlimited too. So the day this comes out, I want to just read this like immediately. We also have Fearless by Lauren Roberts coming out in April sometime, I believe. This is the third book in the Powerless series. I didn't love the first book, Powerless. I thought it was fun, and then I read Reckless, and I enjoyed that one a lot more. So I am like legitimately excited to see what happens in Fearless. It's just one of those stories where I'm kind of like, oh, could this have been almost like the last one? It could have probably been a duology, and I would have liked it a little better. Only because the first book, Powerless, did okay with the setup, but I liked a lot more of the banter and the relationship stuff in the second book. And then I don't know what's going to happen in the third book because the way Reckless ended was kind of not like a wild ending. I guess you could kind of see it coming, but it was just left in such a way that I'm kind of like, oh, where is this even going to go? Which is how I like to go into a story having no idea what's about to happen. because we have two brothers, and then we have our main character who is, she doesn't have any power, and that kind of is what started this whole situation in the first place. And I guess we'll just have to see how it all shakes out. A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping is also coming out this year. It's coming out in April. I feel like it's something I might read more in the fall. But it's from the same author that did the Very Secret Society of, what was it? Irregular Witches. Irregular Witches. I read that book a few years ago, but it was super cute. I really, really liked it, and I'm very excited. This sounds like it's going to be just as cute. And like I said, I think it comes out in, I wrote down April. I might read it in April. I might save it for more of the fall when I'm in more of that witchy vibe. But I am really excited for this one. I wanted to get my sister to read the other one a lot because it involved like little kids who had magic. It was super sweet. This one's probably going to be just as sweet. The Night and the Moth also comes out this spring. This is from the writer of One Dark Window, Rachel Gilling, I think is her name. This is more of a dark, maybe more like a gothic fantasy. That one was like a YA gothic fantasy, which I found really interesting. The magical system was very different from anything I read, and I really liked that duology a lot. I am assuming this is also going to be a duology. Again, I'm just trying not to read anything about it. I think I'm just going to really like this book. I liked the other books a lot, and I think just like a fun gothic setting. This is another one where I have it written down that it comes out in May, but it feels more like a fall book. So we'll see. Maybe I'll read it before that, but when it's more like an atmospheric type thing, I love those kind of books in the fall. So I might hold off to do that one. And then there's a Taylor Jenkins Reid book coming out this year. I'm so excited. Atmosphere. It sounds very cool. I think we're set in the 1980s, and then we're working with NASA, like astronauts. Sounds like it's going to be super sad, but super good. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. I've read a bunch of hers, a lot of her historical fiction books I've really, really enjoyed, like Daisy Jones and the Six was one of the first books I read. Kind of more as an adult, getting back into reading. I don't always like historical fiction, but something about her books, I just really, really enjoy them. And I hope that I liked this one too. I think the astronauts in the 80s is an interesting story to get into. And that comes out in June. So I am super, super excited. My sister is also a big fan of hers. So hopefully this is one we'll read together because that would be really fun. Somewhere Beyond the Sea is what I meant to say earlier. It's by TJ Klune. It already came out last year, but this is kind of like the sequel to what was it? House in the Cerulean Sea, which I loved that book. It was so sweet. We had an island basically with like magical misfit kids, and it was just adorable. I love the author's writing style. I've read a few other things by them. It's so cute, and I just want to see what happens to these characters. To be honest, I think this story is going to talk a little more about Arthur, their like caretaker, and kind of like his history. And I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I'm really excited to hopefully read that one soon too. I think that's all 25. Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like I've rambled on for long enough, but I'm really excited to read all of these books, and I have so many more. I've got an ever-growing physical TBR, and I've got just so many amazing things that I want to get to that I keep hearing about. So as it goes, hopefully I will get to all of these books this year. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you watching this video. Feel free to leave a thumbs up if you liked this video. Leave a comment of what you would like to read this year, if any of mine overlap with your list. I'd love to hear about that, or anything else new that I forgot. I'm sure there are plenty of things that I didn't even put on this list that I'm not even aware of. But happy reading, and I'll see you guys next time.